Water.
Now, who would litter?
Ow, what was that for?
Why'd you throw the plastic on the ground?
Easy place to throw it? I don't want to carry
It's
it.
gonna end up in the ocean.
Why should I carry it? The bird is not in the ocean.
You should really care about that. Plastics in the ocean are bad. 80% of all humans actually have microplastics in them. So there's a good chance if you're watching this video that you have microplastics in you. So if you don't care about this problem, it doesn't matter. You probably have plastics in you and it's gonna affect your life and your health. And here's why.
One reason why it's important to fix the microplastics problem in the ocean is because of its effects on marine life. On average, 30 to 60% of all sampled fish had microplastics either in them or on them. This could be in their gills, on their scales, or in their bloodstream / in their body. They could have gotten this from eating a fish that already had microplastics in them, or from microplastics that are mixed with the sediment / just floating around in the ocean. This is a big problem because plastic has additives in them which are chemical and toxic, and when released can cause bodily harm and disorders. And just a statistic for you, the ratio of plastic to fish is 1 to 3 tons, which is 600 plastic bags to 10 kilograms of fish.
Okay, so going off of what Hudson said about how these fish have microplastics and other plastics inside of them, we have this big problem, and this is one of the reasons why you should probably care about the microplastics in the ocean, of bioaccumulation. So you have all these little plastics, which contribute to about 1 milligram per liter of microplastics. But if you have a bunch of these fish eat all of that stuff, they get a little bit more. They get 12 milligrams per kilogram. Those fish get eaten by bigger fish. They're at 48. And those fish get eaten by even bigger fish. And they're at 144. And then eventually those bigger fish get eaten by humans. And those microplastics, the big reason why those are bad through bioaccumulation is because they can contain pesticides and other things such as DDT. Another reason why microplastics in the ocean are bad is because they can help transport bacteria or other viruses, such as as invasive species. And a third reason why they're bad is because they can actually cause blockages in the intestinal tract of fish and other animals, which causes them to die, and then more fish die, and that's not good.
All right, on from the all aboard and stuff, I have some not so fun facts for you. So one is microplastics are all over the sea floor. The sea floor is filled with over 14 million tons of microplastics. Another one is washing clothes actually releases microplastics into the environment. Studies showed that particles and fibers from washing your clothes actually release plastics into the environment. Another one is microplastics are everywhere from the deep oceans to Mount Everest. It was found in the rivers of Mount Everest. Your coffee actually comes with a side of microplastics. So an average person that drinks about 3 regular cups of coffee in a paper cup would be ingesting about 75,000 microplastics. Another one is that researchers found microplastics in the placentas of unborn babies, and only about 4% of the placenta was actually explored, so which means this number is probably much higher. A crustacean could actually break down microplastics in days, and then that could give a possible solution to this crisis. Each year, about 1 million tons of microplastic fibers are released into wastewater. And then finally, it takes plastic about 450 years to fully decompose.
As we've previously seen, reducing microplastics in the environment is very important. But how do we reduce something that we can't even see with our own 2 eyes? To do this, one of the most effective ways is through limiting our use of disposable plastic water bottles. As you can see, the average surface area of a water bottle is 36,800 square millimeters. And the average threshold for something to become a microplastic is something that is less than or equal to 5 square millimeters. So when we do the math, we get that each disposable plastic water bottle can produce 7,360 microplastics over time as they break down. Furthering the math, we see that if each person on Earth uses 1 disposable water bottle per week, we produce 2.966 times 10 to the 15th microplastic particles per year. It's really time for us to step up and stop using disposable plastic water bottles in turn for reusable ones so that we can help our environment. Cutting back on our amount of disposable water bottles will help the environment a ton. Something that's very often overlooked is plastic used in packaging and wrapping almost everything around us. According to a scientific report by Nature.com, just the act of opening these things alone generates 4 times 10 to the negative 8th grams of microplastic every time we do it. So if we get that each person opens one of these packages per day, we get that a little over 113,000 grams of microplastic are introduced into the environment just because of us. It's time to call on these companies to quit using disposable plastic to wrap their products and find a more biodegradable and safer alternative to this. Overall, by imposing the steps listed above, we can greatly reduce our microplastic output in the environment and the world today.
Finally, microplastics have an overall really bad impact on the ocean environment. They can be primary or secondary on how they get into the environment through tires, city dust, or just already normally occurring micro and macro plastics. But they also can affect the organisms living in the environment, such as fish, plankton, coral, and destroy their tissues, reduce their life, reduce their feeding capabilities, and lower the population of these species. There's also a very large amount of microplastics being released every day into the ocean and into the environment as a whole. And there's work being done on slowing the production of these microplastics, but right now, slowing it down isn't enough. We need to do more. We have to clean it, and we have to really do an impact to save the ocean environment if we still want it to be here in the future.